what you said. I explained that to people over and over and over. And you have so many people saying how great Simeon was and he was the all-star quarterback. And obviously he's not, because he's not with the team no more. I wish him the best because he was a Bronco. But I looked at some of the same things. The other thing, he couldn't throw left. That was my main concern with him. He could not throw the ball left. And if you can't throw the ball left in the NFL, you can't play the quarterback position. It's just a fact. And that's taught in junior high. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I mean, even in Pee-wees, I mean, there's simple, basic things that you learn.
Yeah.
You got to learn a quarterback. You got to learn to throw under the pressure. You got to learn to throw left, right, forward, even a backward lateral if need be.
And I've been over the tapes where he tried to throw left with a perfect pocket, and he threw interceptions. I don't know if you got to see any. I ordered the tapes directly from the Broncos, and I go over the tapes, and anybody can order them. And I looked at some of the passes that he threw, and I'm like, man, they could have been touchdown passes. They could have been long completions, and he just couldn't do it. He just couldn't live up to it. And I will bring up Paxton Lynch real quick for a second. You know, I just don't think he got. You know, Trevor Siemian had like I don't know, what was his record, 9-9 or something.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
So he had like at least 18 games under his belt, where Paxton Lynch really only had like 4 games under his belt. You really can't say he's a bust or he's going to be a great player with only 4 games under his belt. You know what I mean? Well,
right.
On my end, I can't say that personally. You know.
Right, I agree. I mean, and certainly injuries played a factor. I mean, he did become injury prone for a bit. And even so, looking at the game against Oakland last season with the whole 2 Chainz thing where he's on the sidelines and he was very obviously upset because he had just come off of injury only to get re-injured. And everyone saw that as, you know, a sign of weakness or him being a prima donna, but really his heart was in it and he was upset because he was going back on the injury list.
Yeah, I kind of remember that now. But if you look at the year before, he played in 3 games. One, he came off the bench and he won the game, and in another game he started and he had an awesome game, and then he ran into the Atlanta Falcons, was a buzzsaw who ended up going to the Super Bowl, who they ended up beating us like 30-3 or something. So he was a rookie, he wasn't ready. So that's why I said he really don't got the games under his belt, where they gave Trevor Siemian basically the keys to the car and say, let's see what you could do, and he couldn't do nothing. So now we got Case Keenum. Some things I was looking at were, are the Broncos, is John Elway sure with Case Keenum, or do you think he might be looking to trade him later down the line or even before the season starts? Because they got to work on the season now, and they have to have a quarterback ready now. Does he just get the job? You know what I mean?
Right. In my opinion, I think Elway's got his starter. I think obviously as, you know, a policy, they're all going to have to compete in training camp, but I think he's got a starter. I think now it becomes an issue of, you know, Paxton Lynch versus Chad Kelly on who's going to be the backup. I think that's their biggest focus is who's going to be solid backups. If down the line Keenum gets injured or he gets to a situation where he can't fill the gap, who's going to come in and fill those shoes and do it successfully?
Like I had said right when Case Keenum got here, Paxton Lynch is one play away from becoming the starter. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
Chad Kelly, I understand. You know, there's different reports going around. They say they love Paxton Lynch. They say they love Chad Kelly. It's just players keep going back and forth. The media keeps going back and forth. We gotta see. We gotta look at the training camp. Are you going to be able to make it out to any of the training camps this year? Or?
I'm certainly going to try.
Yeah.
I've never been to training camp, but I'm certainly looking to try this year.
Oh, they're awesome, man. It's just they get really hot out there, man. So you got to bring an umbrella and some suntan lotion, man, or else you get pretty burnt up out there. But it's a pretty good time. And then we got to see through. You know, they're really going to be looking at him in the preseason. So we'll see what happens in the preseason. and see what goes on there. The other question, the other thing I was going to ask you, are you going to any games this season?
That's the other thing I'm going to look at trying to do is, as long as the financials work out, I'm going to definitely try and make some games this year.
Yeah. I only have one. I get 2 passes, but I already gave them to my buddy. But I'm going to the reason I gave them to him because I'm going to the LA game in LA because my son plays for the Chargers. So I'm gonna go to the Los Angeles game, but I'll be in my Bronco gear. Don't worry about that.
Right.
Yeah, so it's gonna be pretty exciting. I can't wait. Hopefully he makes a team again this year. So no matter what, I'm still going. You know what I mean? So if he makes it or if he don't make it, so it's gonna be pretty fun to watch him. So let's get into this. We're not. I'm not saying we're making the prediction for the season. About them maybe going 11-5 or 9-7 or 4-12. Let's just make a prediction on how we think they're going to do as with the draft that they just had, with the signings they had, and with the key free agent losses they had. How do you think it's all balancing out?
Well, I think with, the addition of Chubb and, just a lot of the key guys that we got in the draft and even the undrafted guys, like, what was his name? Philip Lindsay from CU. I think we got a lot of caliber guys drafted and undrafted. I think we're solid enough. I don't see any reason why they can't go at least 12-4 or 13-3.
Okay, so basically you're really behind Case Keenum. The other thing is and I didn't blame a lot of it on the line, is they really didn't put much into the line. They got 3 players, and 2 were undrafted and 1 was drafted. So they must be really confident in that offensive line. But there's the other thing is, I'll take us back to Peyton Manning. He basically had the same line, Trevor Siemian. They made a few changes. But the difference between Peyton Manning and Trevor Siemian is Peyton Manning knew how to control that line to get the players in key positions to make the plays, where Trevor Siemian just couldn't do that. And I think that if he could have, Trevor Siemian would have been better. The line under Trevor Siemian was ranked higher than it was with Peyton Manning, and we won a Super Bowl with Peyton Manning. So that kind of tells you a lot. If you really sit back and think about it, it kind of tells you a lot.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I certainly believe that. I mean, I know there was a lot of people after Super Bowl 50 and even going into it that basically said the defense carried us to where we were.
Definitely carried us. The defense definitely. The only thing I'm saying about Peyton Manning is you go back to game manager, and that's all he did through the playoffs and into the Super Bowl, and we won a Super Bowl with him. Which Trevor Siemian, it just didn't click for him. You know what I mean? It just didn't click. And like I said, hopefully he does good in I guess he's going to be a backup in Minnesota because they already pretty much have their starter. And then they got the kid that everybody liked from the Broncos last year. I can't remember what his name is right now. Who was that?
Solder.
Yeah. Everybody was all crazy. We should have kept him. But people don't. There goes again. People didn't realize he was playing against 5th and 6th stringers. You know what I mean? So me and you could go out there and look good against 5th and 6th stringers.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that didn't make sense to me was, last preseason game, he took us to a 30-2 or a 30-3 victory, and then they turn around and say, great game, but you're going to go to Minnesota to the practice squad. Yeah.
And then out of all that, they turned around and got Brock Osweiler back for free.
Right.
Out of all that mess, you know what I mean?
Right. I mean, I know that Cleveland was paying, I forget what obscene amount it was, but they were paying Denver X amount of dollars for him to start.
That is so wild. That whole situation is just like way up in the air. You know what? I just want to say while we're live on the air, you sound really good. Because I got you plugged into the interface and everything. You sound really good. So I think we're gonna have some really good podcasts, and you're real knowledgeable. So it's pretty cool, man.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm good with conversation when I get into a good topic, and the other is, it's not really experience, but back in '05, I went to what used to be the Ohio Center for Broadcasting and did a voice test there, and I passed with flying colors.
You were telling me about that, huh?
Yeah, they were willing to take me on. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I told you I had worked there for I volunteered there for 2 months for their station.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't go to their school, but I had worked there for 2 months, and it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. I had brought in a lot of people for interviews. We did I probably brought in a couple hundred people for interviews in that 2 months. That's how many interviews we did.
Oh wow!
So basically, I didn't go to the Ohio for Broadcasting school, but I got the experience. So it's pretty cool. So do you have any last things you want to wrap up about the Broncos going into the season?
No, just I feel confident with Case Keenum under center that the offense could pick up to the caliber that it needs to be, but also that I think our defense has grown even stronger with Chubb and Miller being in the mix. I think it's going to be a pretty successful season, but, time changes all things. Yeah.
Yeah, I really want to give a shout out to another defensive player that we just got, that Isaac Yodom. I was watching some tape on him, and he is pretty vicious, and it's kind of weird because we're used to 5'9", 5'10" cornerbacks. This guy's 6'3", so hopefully it don't throw off their. I think he's going to be at least the third corner. That Isaac Yodom, which one I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think I know Roby. They're talking about moving him to the second corner, and then Chris Harrison Jr. moving him to the first, and then Isaac Yodom probably will be that third corner. We'll see what happens. That's not for sure. But did you get a chance to see any of his play?
I have not.
Yeah, if you get a chance, Google. I actually was watching it on YouTube, and this guy can move around. For 6'3", he can move around. Basically about the size of Atwater, but just imagine Atwater with about 10 times more speed. That's what it kind of reminded me of. Not the hit. Of course, nobody's going to hit like him. But imagine Atwater with a little bit more speed at that size. That's what I'm talking about. And because you can't play that type of football anymore. Atwater, Ronnie Lott, Dennis Smith, those are the three best safeties of all time in my opinion, But you just can't play it no more. They'd be fined so much. I'm still upset that I'm happy for Dawkins. But there's no way in the world that you put Dawkins into the Pro Football Hall of Fame before you put Atwater into the Hall of Fame. There's just there's just no way in the world.
No, that's above erroneous.
Yeah. The other thing I want to bring up real quick is about Elway trying to sign Colin Kaepernick. He was trying to trade for him. From what I remember, this is what I remember. This was before the kneeling and everything. I know I got kind of ripped in a bunch of groups because of this, but okay, everybody has their own opinion or whatever they want to do. That's fine. The only thing I was upset about is they brought John Elway into this court hearing or whatever it was, and John Elway was actually offering a draft pick and offering to sign him. The problem was the Niners wanted a higher draft pick, and Colin Kaepernick didn't want to negotiate his contract. So John Elway did the right thing, but they kind of brought John Elway in like the rest of the owners and management, like he did a bad thing. How do you feel about that? I'm just upset because they did that to John Elway, which kind of put him in a bad position,
Right. I certainly agree. I think that's certainly insane. I mean, that's the equivalent of going to a job interview and getting a good interview and a good job offer and saying, you know,